Hey there, Bridget Lynn Dolgoff, Conscious of Economics and Urban Farm Project. Anyway, this is the lead-in for the rain altar or the water altar. So I was on the ceremonial land taking care of it, and I was doing a lot of work with Marshall Jack Elder, Paiute Elder, and he does the water wheel ceremonies, and I'm going to be putting some photos and videos up around that. Anyway, you know, really got into this topic with Marshall at one point about creating rain altars in order to pray over them to bring rain, to use your intention, and it's a focus of energy. So there was a medicine wheel or a water wheel that we put in on the property out there. So people kept driving over it, you know, and it's like a vortex of energy. Kind of like an acupuncture point, so that it helps to heal the earth, right? So if you listen to some of my videos, it talks about waking the earth up and trying to get her ley lines straightened out so that she can get straightened out. Anyway, so what I decided to do was I found all this like concrete pipe and all this other stuff, and so I put those, stacked them, and then I went out, and there's this really old waterway in the desert, you know, that has these big stones where the rest of it's been wiped away, and you can feel, if you go and stand in the middle of it, you can kind of feel the breeze from the water that ran there. Still, it's kind of a powerful spot. So anyway, I picked a stone out of there, one that kind of had like a little bit of a divot in it, so that I could pour water onto it and it would hold. So I made 3 attempts, and it was during the winter, kind of, I think it probably was like around January of 2015 that I actually got it all together, put it on top of the water wheel, and then I started working with the rain altar. And previous to this, a man that I know really well, we'll just call him Mr. Martin, when he was a young boy, he studied with Wallace Black Elk, which was Black Elk's son. He was a young man at that time, and his roommate was young, and his roommate was Wallace Black Elk's son, adopted son. So inadvertently, Mr. Martin learned native work and native medicine, and from, you know, a late teenage boy. And Martin used to tell me, Mr. Martin, about these stories. So whenever I go to Oregon and I sit down and have lunch with him, he always has like some really great stories. But he was talking about a while back, the archaeologists, or, you know, there was a story about that they were unearthing all this stuff in Shasta, Mount Shasta area, where the Shasta tribal people lived, you know, those native people. And they knew that the white man were coming, and so what they did was they took a lot of their technology and they buried it really deep so that people couldn't find it, and they couldn't figure out how to use it. So the one thing that these archaeologists unearthed was this stone that had all these like circle, smooth holes all over it, right? I think it might have been a big stone. And they went to, they could only find one living woman relative who may have known what the stone was. And when they showed her pictures of it, she said, yeah, that's the weather stone, that's the rain stone. And she, and so Mr. Martin, he knows about a lot of this different stuff. And so she proceeded to explain to them that it's a stone was worked on thousands and thousands of years. And the medicine person who managed the weather worked the stone. And each hole was like a dial. You could turn it up or you could turn it down. And so each medicine man, when they were born to take care of the stone technology, would be trained their whole life on doing it, and then they would train a predecessor, and then they would manage the rock. But they could literally turn the rain up. They could change the form of the rain. They could, you know, do snow. They could do wind. They could turn the wind down. So a lot of people don't really understand, like, you know, that's ancient technology, that there was this power and energy in this stone, because the people that originally started working with it realized the stone had that power. And then the more that each medicine man worked in dialing in those different holes on this rock, could manage the weather in their area. And I've talked about this on different videos, that, you know, like they removed what I think is a weather stone off Thomas Creek Trail that was a washoe. It had a hydroglyph on it, not a petroglyph. The hydroglyphs are the carvings that have the frequency looking patterns on it. And they left a notice there that says that they have confiscated it, and it's in a warehouse, and it's being, you know, understood. It's like, well, did you ask the Washoe people? I mean, like, if that should be moved? I mean, the reason why they make those kinds of things is to balance out the earth. So anytime an imbalance happens, they, you know, would create some of these things, or use the technologies that they had, because these stones literally had energy in them, because they harvested the energy. And then there's the other thing, like the Dolomites. They, worldwide, the megaliths, those were people that were super powerful. In Russia, they consider them shamans, right? So they would actually die near or on these or inside these megaliths, so that all of the information that they contained, the library of that information, would be held in these stones. And even the Aborigines have stones. Like, they say that they don't cut down the trees because their grandmother's spirit are in them, which means when they died, the spirit went into the tree and is now living in the tree, so that it can watch over the family. You know, these are real things. So these things have real energy, and some of these have really powerful technologies, and people use them in the wrong way. You know, really bad things can happen, or if they're removed, they were holding the balance. So anyway, I'm working with all this kinds of information, right? That I've learned and been taught, and just a lot of this other stuff. So I ended up giving it 3 runs at my rain stone, my rain altar. And the first one, I just went out with a big cup of water, and I intended, I wanted to see rain for 24 hours, like light rain. So while I'm imagining what this rain looks like, the clouds, you know, the type of rain coming down and everything else, I'm pouring this water all over on the top in the divot area, down the whole structure, my rain altar, right? And then I'm done. And then, you know, tobacco offering, and then went in the house. Well, 2 days later, that same kind of rain went on for 24 hours. So, you know, I'm kind of a factualist sometimes. So I have to do it again, right? Just to make sure. So I go out there, like, I don't know, a week later when I had time. Because you got to really kind of be straight in your mind, right? You have to get straight what it is that you want, what you see. And so you have to play that whole thing out. So, so I saw in my mind, like, low mist and light rain. And I imagined in my mind getting up in the day, seeing that rain, then going to bed, then getting up and seeing that rain, then going to bed, then getting up and seeing that rain for 4 nights into 5 days. Poured the water on the rock, gave the tobacco offering, and went in the house. 3 days later, for 5 days, we had this really strange, for Nevada, misty rain kind of stuff. So I thought, okay, and this is during, like, the bad part of the drought, the really bad part of the drought, where there's, like, no water. You know, there's, like, no water in the Truckee River, and, you know, things are bad. Everything's drying up. Whole farmers, their orchards are drying up. They're only allowing like 2 months of irrigation water to the farmers. alfalfa starts to, you know, skyrocket. There's just a lot of really, it's really, really bad. I mean, like the winter, there was like no snow, anything. So anyway, so I think, okay, now I'm going to really, you know, boom, I'm going to really like do it up. And so I'm going to do a third attempt to see what happens. The thing that I was shocked about was like how simple the whole thing was. It just took a little intention, like, you know, setting up the altar, finding things to go on it, and then, you know, finding this green stone, and then, you know, putting it all together, and then kind of doing it, you know, by the seat of my pants, because I'm not really sure what the, you know, I'm not really sure how the protocol is in order to do this. And so, you know, I just was doing what I could do. Anyway, I'm going to have pictures at the end of this video of the rain altar that I built. That is the topic of this video. So anyway, so I go out there like a week later, and this time I'm thinking snow. You know, I'm thinking big snow. So for a couple of days, I was really thinking about how to project that in my mind and that image, right? And so I projected this huge image where there was going to be like this huge, like amount of snow coming in, like feet, tons of feet of snow. And then, you know, how long it was going to snow, and what the roads look like down below Lake Tahoe, you know, what the snow looked like up at Lake Tahoe, and where we were at down in the desert. And then I took my cup of water and I poured it over my rain stone, and I gave the tobacco offering. Well, it never came. So the snow never happened. So one day I was out there and I was frustrated, and I was, you know, looking at the rain stone because I was disappointed and everything else. And then my friend Emmett, the young medicine man, said to me, didn't you call this a rain altar? And haven't you implied rain onto it? And I was like, yeah, you know. He goes, well, maybe it doesn't do snow. So anyway, if you're going to build a rain altar, make sure, you know, you also include snow in it, because I think if you don't, then you're not going to get the results that you really want. So anyway, you can view those photos. I'm going to put them at the end of this video. And it's Bridget Lynn Dolgoff, Consciousness of Economics, Urban Farm Project. Have a great day. Bye.